welcome to Cheeky Crumbs! Today we're going to be decorating a chocolate cake and I'm going with the cherry blossom theme. It's the season. I've already made 2 chocolate cakes and I'll put a link to my chocolate cake recipe in the description below. So what are you going to need? 2 dots. A cake board. I will be cutting my cake, so I'm using a cake cutter, but a knife is just fine. I will be making flowers, so I have a flower sponge, fondant. This is my base color, and you will need other colors for the branch and the flowers. Little pearls that I will be using in my flowers. I have stencil stamps of butterflies and flower shapes. A ball tool for the petals. A dry brush. Pink powder dust. A small rolling pin. A smoother to apply the fondant to the cake, a big rolling pin for the base fondant, and some chocolate ganache that has been cooling in the fridge. So firstly, you're gonna have to cut your cake. I have already cut one of my cakes, like so, and I'm going to cut my second cake now. With the excess cake that you have left, you can either devour that or you can make delicious cake pops. Now that you have your 3 layers, place your ganache in between each one and make sure your cake stacks up as straight as possible. You will now need to crumb coat your cake. You can do this by applying a thin layer of ganache to trap in the crumbs. Place the cake in the fridge for 15 minutes and then apply a final layer of ganache, making sure it's nice and smooth. I have transferred my covered cake to my cake board. I prefer to do this operation before covering the cake with fondant, so as not to ruin the fondant once it's on. And it's also much easier because if I put the fondant on a cake stand, it's going to hang and it's heavy and it might rip. So let's make the fondant now. To roll out your fondant, you might want to put some cornstarch on your surface. And just take a rolling pin and start by squashing it. You need to do this a bit by eye, so kind of analyze your cake size and figure out how big you need to roll out your fondant. Once you have rolled out your fondant, make sure you don't roll it out too thin because you're just going to increase your chances of it breaking when you put it on. To lift your fondant, I like to lift part and then put my arm under it and do the same with my other arm. And then I try and center. Start by smoothing the fondant on the top with your hand and then start working on the sides. Then slowly open the folds and start smoothing lower and lower towards the bottom of the cake. Using a smoother, then rub the entire surface of the cake. Use a pizza cutter to remove the excess fondant. The first thing you want to do to decorate your cake is make the branch. So you're just going to roll out a snake. You don't want it to be too thick. You can make it thicker going into thinner like an actual tree would be. Once you're happy with your size and color of your branch, have some water ready, as the water will act like the glue for the fondant. So you're just going to take some water, just a little bit, you don't need a lot, and wet one side of the branch. And now you're ready to place your branch on the cake. There you go. And now you keep going and putting all the other branches on your cake. Once you're happy with your branches, and I have put some coming off the cake board, and then I have this, I will be placing a ribbon around the cake. You can secure the ribbon in 2 ways, and please, if you're giving this to someone, make sure that you tell them that this is in there. You can use either uncooked spaghetti, which is good for children because even if they find it, it's just spaghetti. Or you can use a little pin needle, or you can use a toothpick. That is completely up to you. So I'm going to put this in the fridge now and start decorating the flowers and the butterflies. To make your butterflies, take some lilac fondant and roll it out using your small rolling pin. Using your stencil, cut out the shape and remove the excess fondant. Then press the stencil to emboss the pattern. And there you go, butterflies! You can decorate your butterfly using powdered food coloring. I decided to make my wings pearly to give them shine and use some pink to add some color and nice contrast. I want my butterflies to look 3D on the cake, so to shape them, simply take a cereal box and place them facing down on the edge, forming a 90-degree angle. And now onto the flowers. Since I'm making a cherry blossom cake, I will be using light pink fondant. Using your small rolling pin, roll out a piece of fondant and using your flower stencil, cut out the shape and remove the excess. Place the flower on the flower sponge and using your bowl tool, simply round the petals off using a circular motion. This will also make the petals curl in, making it look more realistic. Use your pink coloring to add some shading to your flower. Don't worry, you don't need to be an artist for this. Next, roll out another piece of pink fondant and using a smaller flower stencil, cut out the shape. Now try and place it as central as possible to your larger flower. Use the smaller side of the bowl tool and flatten and curl the small petals. You can add more pink color to the center of the small flowers if you like. I think I will do this only to half my flowers to add some diversity. Once you're happy with your flowers, place a drop of water in the center and add your pearl. I want my cherry blossom to be curled, so I'm placing them in a small cookie cutter to give them shape. They don't need to dry for very long, just enough for you to make your next flower. So once you've made your flowers and some of your butterflies, you can start sticking them onto the cake. You simply take one of the flowers, for example, put a little bit of water on the back, just like that, and then you find where you would like to put it and you place it on the cake. And once we placed our flower, we're gonna do the same thing with the butterfly. Might need to hold this a little bit. There. And now you're gonna wanna stick all your flowers and all your butterflies on the cake. Just a little tip. To make sure your butterflies dry in 3D shape, simply roll some kitchen paper and place it under the wings. Also, remember you can only use water to glue your flowers and butterflies if you have just made them. However, if you make these decorations a few days earlier, you will need to use edible glue. So this is my cherry blossom cake and I am really happy with it. I think it looks great. I have made different sizes of flowers and I have different size butterflies. I applied my ribbon and I also placed some flowers here and there on the board just to fill it up a little bit, as you can see. So yeah, super happy with it. I hope you enjoyed my video, and if you did, click thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more, and see you next time. Bye!